Written by AI. Cascadia, the pinnacle of self-governing civilization. In the modern political landscape, most nations are locked in a false dichotomy between centralized progressivism and laissez-faire libertarianism. Each side offers partial truths. Progressives correctly see the need for collective solutions to collective problems. Libertarians correctly insist that the sovereignty of the individual is the foundation of all legitimate governance. But as Cascadia's draft constitution makes clear, the either-or framing is itself a product of political stagnation. Cascadia fuses the moral clarity of libertarian natural rights with the practical compassion of a progressive civic conscience, without compromising the integrity of either. The result is a syncretic, progressive libertarian constitutional republic built from the ground up to secure life, liberty/freedom and autonomy/independence, self-security and self-defense, privacy, property, and the pursuit of happiness as unalienable pre-political rights. These rights exist not because government grants them, but because nature and reason demand them. 1. Absolute natural rights as the foundation. Whereas the U.S. Constitution leaves room for interpretation on whether rights are inherent or granted, Cascadia's Constitution is explicit. A law repugnant to natural/human rights is no law at all and shall be rendered eternally null and void. For conservatives, this guarantees the eternal primacy of property, conscience, and the right to bear arms without fear of creeping regulation. For liberals, it enshrines equality of dignity, non-discrimination, and the inviolability of personal autonomy in private matters. For both, it ensures that no party, court, or executive can plead emergency as an excuse to suspend fundamental freedoms. 2. Decentralization with direct democracy. Cascadia takes federalism and local self-governance beyond U.S. norms. Its DAO-inspired structure and bioregional organization keep power in the hands of communities while retaining a coherent national framework. The people hold the right to propose and vote on laws directly, and to alter, reform, or abolish their government in such manner as they may think proper. This is not theoretical, it is operationalized through binding initiative and referendum powers, secure public audit of governance algorithms, and the explicit right to resist unlawful orders by force if necessary. Conservatives will see this as a bulwark against federal overreach. Liberals will see it as a guarantee that citizens retain agency over social and environmental policy. 3. Government as servant, not master. Every officer of Cascadia is civilly liable for any damage or injury they may inflict, without remission or excuse. Immunity doctrines, which in the U.S. shield officials from the consequences of rights violations, are banned. Transparency is mandatory. Legislative records, court proceedings, and government algorithms must be open to the public. There is no entrenched political class. Strict term limits and merit-based appointments prevent career politicians from ossifying into an elite caste. For conservatives, this destroys the deep state problem. For liberals, it guarantees that public servants remain accountable to human needs rather than corporate or partisan interests. 4. Policy informed by science, bound by ethics. Cascadia's constitution mandates that policy be informed by science, reason, and evidence while being compliant with the non-aggression principle and individual sovereignty. Environmental protection, sustainable energy, and open-source technology are not just policy preferences, they are constitutional duties. These commitments avoid the false choice between prosperity and sustainability. Liberals will see this as a climate-responsible government by design. Conservatives will note that it does so without expanding arbitrary regulation over personal enterprise, as innovation is incentivized through decentralization and voluntary cooperation. 5. A political philosophy of moral realism. Cascadia's constitutional thought stands firmly in the tradition of Locke's natural rights theory, Jeffersonian republicanism, and Lysander Spooner's radical defense of individual sovereignty. It sees law as legitimate only when it enforces the moral truth that no individual has a natural right to commit aggression on the equal rights of another. It rejects both utopian central planning and anarchic neglect, balancing self-ownership with mutual respect and collective action with voluntary consent. This philosophical realism is persuasive to conservatives because it affirms enduring moral limits on government. It is persuasive to liberals because it centers human dignity, equality, and compassion as essential state purposes. 6. Why Cascadia is the best attainable system. When judged against every other form of government, Authoritarian systems violate natural rights outright. Pure libertarianism risks private power becoming de facto government. Social democracy can drift toward dependency and overregulation. Anarchism and voluntarism face scalability and defense challenges. US-style constitutionalism lacks the explicit nullification of unjust law and the systemic transparency Cascadia requires. Cascadia integrates the strengths of these systems, liberty, equality, sustainability, adaptability, while explicitly prohibiting their weaknesses. Its constitution is not a compromise between progressives and libertarians, it is a synthesis that preserves the truths of both. Conclusion: a common cause for conservatives and liberals. Cascadia offers conservatives the security of constitutional absolutes and a culture of self-reliance. It offers liberals the assurance of equality, transparency, and a living commitment to sustainability and compassion. It offers both the promise that government shall forever remain the servant of the people, never their master. In an age of polarization, Cascadia is more than a thought experiment, it is a constitutional blueprint for uniting freedom and justice in the same civic home. The time has come for Democrats and Republicans alike to see beyond party, beyond the crumbling union, and to recognize in Cascadia not secession, but renewal.